Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Today, I've got an overseas guest, Katie Kirkland. She's all the way from America, Cincinnati, Ohio. She's a certified functional nutrition counselor and a licensed registered nurse that focuses on root cause of resolution to address health concerns. She helps others to achieve health goals. She was a group fitness instructor and a nurse, and she traveled the world, even came to live in Australia, Melbourne during the lockdown days. We were just chatting before we started recording. She came in 2020 and was part of our lockdown. So she's going to tell us about her journey, how she became from a nurse to a functional nutrition coach, and tell us about what your poops tell us about your health. So welcome, Katie. Thank you for coming on.
Hi, Dr. Avi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here, and it's exciting to connect with you in Melbourne since I had the pleasure of living there for a period of time. So it's great to connect with you.
Yeah, lovely to connect as well. And it's so interesting to hear you worked at the Children's Hospital during the lockdown days.
Yes. I actually moved to Melbourne in 2019. So I got about 6 months of experiencing Australia before the lockdowns.
Oh, good.
Yes, but I did so enjoy my time working at the Royal Children's Hospital. It was just such a joy to work there.
Amazing. So you were a nurse working at the Children's Hospital, and now you're a functional nutrition counselor. Can you tell us about your journey on what made you shift from a nurse to looking into nutrition?
Yeah. So I feel like my journey really began when I was much younger. I grew up very much in the weight loss diet culture. My whole family went on Weight Watchers diet, and I was really interested in learning about nutrition at that time, but I didn't quite understand. At that time, my understanding of it was low calorie, low fat. That was what I thought good nutrition was. And I went on this journey through my teens and 20s of eating in a way that I thought was healthy.
Mm,
And I found myself with tons of health issues.
mm,
I had anxiety and depression and gut issues and headaches and allergies. And I also experienced at times some disordered eating as well. And it was
mm,
frustrating because I loved food and I thought I was nourishing my body
mm,
appropriately. Um, so I was always sort of on this journey to learning how to eat to nourish my body, but that definition of nourishment really changed over time. And as I learned more to eat for nourishment and not for weight loss specifically. Um, but over the years, I kind of found myself searching for answers through different diet practices. I tried things like being a vegan and intermittent fasting, all these different practices. Um, but none of those really worked for me. And I think part of it is because they didn't really um, address me as an individual.
mm,
There's so much nuance to, what we eat at times, and I realized that there's just no one size fits all really when it came to how to nourish my body because I
mm,
wasn't like my neighbor. Um, and actually, part of my story, what led me to functional nutrition, is it actually happened when I was living in Australia. I experienced cervical dysplasia. I'd have had
mm,
a cervical screen and it was abnormal. And then I
mm,
had a colposcopy, which was also abnormal. And my
mm,
gynecologist at the time recommended I believe in Australia it's called the LETS procedure. In the US, we
Yes.
call it the LEAP procedure.
Yes.
And I just wasn't really comfortable with that. And
Mm.
I started sort of scouring the internet and asking
Mm.
around, are there alternatives? What are my options here?
Mm. Can
And
you just explain
thankfully,
to the listeners what the Let's procedure is? Because
yes,
yeah, I
yeah,
know what it
it's
is.
where yes, it's where a doctor goes in and surgically removes abnormal tissue from the
Mm-hmm.
cervix.
Mm.
Um, and so there are some risk associated with that. And one of those risk factors was a slightly increased risk of preterm birth.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't had kids at that time, so I just wasn't comfortable with that risk. Um, and I just wanted to explore my options.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I talked to my gynecologist, and thankfully, he was very supportive of me, going on a journey to try and heal myself. Um, and and so that's what I did. I ended up connecting with a naturopath in
Mm-hmm.
Melbourne.
Mm.
And so he gave me lots of tools, healing herbs and supplements, and guided me on some lifestyle things. And I also implemented my own changes with nutrition and additional lifestyle changes. And fast forward 6 months, and everything completely cleared. And still 5 years later, completely clear. And I remember my gynecologist saying that it probably wasn't, any one thing that you did, but it was a combination of all the
Mm.
things that
Yes.
healed your body. And looking back, I'm like, wow, that is a very functional thing for a conventional medical doctor to say. But I'm so grateful that he was open to giving me that time to try to heal my body.
Mm-hmm.
There's this metaphor that I love to share now, and it's called 36 Holes in the Roof. It was coined by Dr. Dale Bredesen. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
He's a guru on Alzheimer's disease.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I love his metaphor where he
Mm-hmm.
says that a patient with Alzheimer's disease has, metaphorically 36 holes in their roof. And if you
Mm.
can patch even just half of those holes,
Mm.
you can begin to see a reversal in cognitive decline with those patients. And I
Mm.
feel like that approach really applies to any health condition when we think about shifting that inner terrain of the body to promote a healing state in the body rather than one that allows for dysfunction to take root. And so I feel like it really perfectly explains, what happened when I was healing my cervical dysplasia is that
Mm-hmm.
we didn't just patch one hole. We patched a lot of different holes
Mm-hmm.
by by a very holistic approach to healing my body.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then when I got back to the US, I first heard the term functional nutrition, and the I Andrea Nakayama is whose certification program I went through, and when I heard her describing functional nutrition and that there's no one size fits all,
Mm-hmm.
and talking about this whole body holistic approach to health to help
Mm-hmm.
the body come into its most functional state, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is it. This is what I've been looking for and what I've even practiced with my own body. I just didn't know what it was called.
Yes.
And so I even prior to becoming a nurse, I like my desire was always I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people feel better
Yeah.
and, care for their bodies better. Um, and so nursing has been a beautiful part of my journey. But I think it was always leading me to this more preventive space where I can really help people, um, feel the best in their own bodies and help shift that terrain to a state that is more health promoting.
Mm, yes, I love it. I think same as me. I've become a doctor, signed up to medical school 25 years ago, was trying to help people feel better and get into the root cause of why they're unwell. So initially, as a GP, before I learned about all the root causes, I was just prescribing medications. And now I'm really incorporating in the lifestyle, the nutrition into patching more holes, as you said, rather than
Yeah.
just giving them medications. So can you tell us what things did you do to try and patch up your holes? What's how do you operate in terms of promoting your functional nutrition?
Yeah. Yeah. So, to patch those metaphorical holes, there are some areas where I kind of start with clients.
Mm,
I things like looking at bowel movements, like is someone pooping daily?
mm,
Also looking at blood sugar management, and then sleep. Those are three things that I call a non-negotiable and
mm.
something I will look at and work on with every person that I work with.
Amazing. So you were going to tell us what our poops tell us about our health. So can you tell us how do we interpret our poop? Because that's one of your topics that I was really interested in to get into.
Yeah, yeah. So I like to think of poop as like a free daily health report from our body. We can
Mm,
learn so much from it. And one of the reasons that it is so important is because it is our number one form of detoxification for the body. So it's critical for hormone balance and reducing inflammation and just overall gut health. Um, and so one thing I tell people is that when we're not eliminating daily, the toxins that we should be getting rid of are sitting in our colon and can be reabsorbed back into the bloodstream, making someone literally feel like poop, but it also contribute to other symptoms too. But I always like to ensure people know what a healthy poop is too,
mm,
because
mhm,
I think it's it's not as common sense maybe as health practitioners as we might think.
mm,
Um, so a healthy poop is medium brown in color, typically. It's and soft formed. We could think of it like a soft serve ice cream. Um, it's not too hard, not too loose. It passes in one piece or a few smaller pieces. Um, it's fully digested. It should pass easily without strain or urgency. And ideally, we should be going 1 to 3 times daily.
mm,
And there's a lot that we can learn about poop from the color as well.
mm,
Um, So if someone has, let's say, poop that is green, it could, of course, be a dietary cause for any color. Um, if they're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, or maybe they've had a food with food coloring in it, that could influence the color. But but green could also indicate that food is moving through the digestive system too fast.
okay.
Or it could be a sign of an infection as well. Um,
Mm,
so different colors can indicate different things to us. If someone has yellow, greasy poop, that could be an indication of excess fat in the stool, which might be a clue that they're having trouble absorbing and properly digesting fats.
mm,
That could also be common with a gut infection as well, or just imbalances in the microbiome.
yeah, yeah, I totally agree. When my
Yeah.
baby's little, and I think a lot of mothers would agree when the baby's little, you would look at the poop and try and analyze. But
Yes.
yeah, but when we're grown up, we don't look at our poos as much as we should. So it's so interesting how it reflects our health.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one thing I tell people is pay attention, like take a moment, look in the toilet, and because we can get a lot of clues. It can give us clues as to our hydration status or even our stress, how stressed we are.
Mm,
Um, Yeah, there's just so many clues that we can get. Um, it could also provide clues about blood sugar imbalance or information about what the food we're taking in, how our
Yes.
body is handling those.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. I totally agree. I love it. So, what sort of diet do you suggest? I know you said everyone is different. Is there any
Yeah.
overarching things that you promote in the people that you work with?
Yeah, yeah. I would say if I had to sum it up in just a couple of words, I would say a whole food diet
Mm,
is like the most important thing.
yeah.
But then of course we have to look at each individual. Um, I I do some work to identify potential food sensitivities with clients. So that's where there will be some variation with each person that I work with.
Hmm.
But another thing, like I mentioned, is blood sugar balance. So one
Mm,
of the big things I focus on is teaching someone to include protein, fat, and fiber with every meal or snack to promote blood sugar regulation.
yeah, amazing. So give us an example on how we can do that.
Yeah, yeah. So if we think about breakfast, for example, um, I one of my favorite breakfasts is just a few eggs and maybe some avocado and some blueberries. So we've got lots of good protein and fat from the eggs and from the
Yes.
avocado, great fiber from the avocado and the blueberries. Um, and then something else that I also share with my clients is this concept of eating a rainbow of variety of fruits and vegetables and whole foods throughout their day and week. And that ensures adequate diversity of fiber
Mm,
because different types of plant foods provide different types of fiber. And that's really
yes.
important for the gut microbiome, is that we're including lots of diversity of fiber into the diet.
Sure, great. And I guess in America, there's when I think about America, they often obesity is quite high in prevalence and
Yeah.
lots of soft drinks, lots of processed foods and big
Yeah.
servings when I head there. Is that
Yes.
what you've observed and is that how you work with your clients as well?
Absolutely. So eating out is, I would say, a big part of the American culture.
Mm,
Um, But what's what I find wonderful is that there are so many restaurants that offer really beautiful, nourishing foods. And so
mm,
you just that's where some coaching can come in and
mhm,
can be really helpful, is helping people identify where they can get nourishing whole food meals out. Um, because it is such a big part of the culture, and I don't want to tell someone stop eating out
mm,
completely,
yeah.
because I enjoy that. It's a great way to connect with community too, is getting out of the house and eating out at different restaurants and things. And so finding restaurants that offer things like bowls where you can do some whole grains or vegetables and these good oils, and that have um different high quality meats and things as well. So yeah, I love to teach my clients how to make healthy decisions when they eat out. One example I will say is, like, if someone were to get a salad out,
Hmm.
um and you can find like beautiful salads at most restaurants
Mm,
in the US, but you can be a little selective, about what's included. Or
hmm.
one easy way to potentially avoid like an inflammatory oil is to just ask for olive oil and vinegar for your dressing, as opposed to just using like a pre-mixed dressing.
Yes.
So that would be one example of a tip I might give someone for how they can still eat out but make some small adjustments.
Yeah, yeah. So you think salads and bowls and there's a lot of like hamburgers and is there other suggestions on what other restaurants people can pick?
Yeah, so actually, if we go beyond restaurants and we just think about, getting nourishing food from like
Mm,
where we can get nourishing food, because
yes.
I think that's a challenge for a lot of people is they can go to a restaurant and order off the menu, but the challenge is like what can they get for their home? Um,
Mm,
so one thing I like to teach about um, is knowing where your food is coming from
mm,
and buying locally if you can. When it comes to meat, I'm a big meat eater. I love
mm,
beef and steak.
yes.
But in my family we try to get grass-fed beef
Mm,
as often as possible, because we know that those animals were grazing on open pastures and eating the way nature intended. And so we know that their meat is going to be richer in different nutrients and it's also going to have a healthier fat profile.
yeah.
So that omega-3 to omega-6 ratio is going to be healthier and more anti-inflammatory as opposed to maybe a burger from a fast food restaurant that where the meat was raised, you know, in a
Yes, in a
mass
process lot. Yes. Yes.
processing facility and the ratio and the meat is just going to be inflammatory as opposed to
Mm,
anti-inflammatory. So I
yes.
think it's important to recognize that not all meat is created equally. Um,
Mm,
but at the same time, um, I would rather someone eat a steak from a conventionally raised cow than the alternative being like a processed food. So
yes.
I like to teach my clients that there's sort of good, better, and best options when it comes to how you eat. And
Yes.
sometimes budget might not allow you to get the very best option, and that's okay.
Yes.
But if we can mostly stick to whole foods, that is going to do the body so much better than a processed alternative.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even the cage eggs, the not so good eggs, is so much better than eating like cereal and processed
Yes. Yeah,
breakfast and or Cocoa Pops, which is full of sugar for breakfast. So I think,
absolutely.
yeah, any whole foods is much better than the processed foods, even if it's not grass-fed, even if it's packaged and yeah.
Yes, I totally agree. And I think it's important to remind people of that because um, I think in this day and age, there's a lot of chatter on the internet and things
Mm,
about, we don't want to villainize food. But it is important that people are aware that certain foods are going to serve the body better than others.
yeah,
And so if we can make whole food choices, um, then that's going to be a better option than the processed option.
absolutely. That's amazing. I love it. So,
Y-
your how do you serve? I mean, what sort of programs do people find you? How can people work with you?
Yeah, yeah. So what I offer is a 3-month program. Um, and I'm available through my website, which is katiekirkland.com. People can also find me on my Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. Um, but I offer a 3-month coaching program. I tell people that you know, shifting that inner train of the body and these diet and lifestyle changes is more like a marathon and not a sprint. And so
Mm,
that I find that we we can have a much greater impact working together, to help someone shifting that inner terrain to a state of health promotion when we work together over a period of time. And so generally, I work with clients for 3 months at a time.
Is this a one-on-one or is it a group coaching program?
I do one-on-one. I would love to do some group coaching in the future, but right now I'm just doing one-on-one.
Sure, great. And you accept patients anywhere in the world?
Yeah, yeah, I could work with patients anywhere because the work I do is fully virtual.
Okay, amazing. I'll put your website and your links on the show notes of this podcast. Great. I
Perfect.
love your message, and it's totally in line with what I promote as well. Eating whole
Yeah.
foods, not one size fit all, and how you guide people to get personalized advice and getting to the root cause of healing using nourishing foods. So I love your message.
Thank you so much.
Great. All right. Is there any last message that you suggest to my listeners on how they can improve their health?
Yeah. I going back to that metaphor of the 36 holes in the roof, I
Mm.
really love revisiting that and reminding people that every little hole that you can patch matters. And I think, and what I mean by that is every small choice you make, um, for your health matters. And even if you make one change and it doesn't feel like it makes a difference, I like to remind people that it actually does matter and it does contribute to that cumulative effect on the body. So even if you make one change, you're like, I don't feel any different, just know that that change compounded with your other changes is going to have such a positive impact on your health long term.
Yeah, I love it. Maybe just patch one hole at a time, and one week you patch one hole, and then the next week you
Yeah.
patch another hole. So you've got two hole patched. So it's
Yes.
all a bit of a journey, and you can start building habits on how you
Yeah.
can patch 18 holes out of 36.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's a journey. And that's a great reminder too, is, to take things one day at a time. I know it can get really overwhelming, and there's also so much noise on the
Mm.
internet about do this, do that, don't do this, and it can be very overwhelming. So when we really just allow ourselves to take it one day at a time, it can be very sustainable and attainable too.
Yeah, I think the listeners also need to remind themselves that it's all about healing and self-compassion and doing what's best for the body, and it's small
Yeah,
steps and building sustainable habits.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love the word nourishment, because that is my approach to food is what is nourishing the body. And so whenever I'm making choices for myself about, what to eat, I think like, is this nourishing my body, or is it doing the opposite? Is it detracting from my goals? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I love focusing on nourish because, um, yeah, I feel like when we love our bodies, they love us back.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Great. Well, uh, thank you, Katie, for coming on to my podcast, Prescribing Lifestyle, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Avi. It was so great chatting with you.
Thank you. So, for all our listeners, thank you for staying tuned. Until next time, I'll bring to you another amazing guest. Recording.